Speedway Illustrated.
Hello everybody and welcome to our 4th season on Southside Speedway. I'm Ivan Alzaro. Joining us this year is Jerry Reed along with my compatriot Freddie Clark as we go over once again Southside Speedway Illustrated, the highlights, the interviews, all that. This year we have for you mini stocks. We didn't have that for you last year or the years previous. That'll be part of our rotating highlight selection on the show. Tonight we have for you, well, we're going to talk to one of the rookies in the Grand Stock. We'll talk to a couple of female drivers in the Charger division, as well as picking up some old stories from last year, who was racing and who's not, as well as the highlights, all on tonight's show when we come back on Southside Speedway Illustrated.
Sonny Hobbs climbs out of her car after a qualifying run tonight, just back from Summit Driving School. Sonny, had a successful run down at Summit Driving School. As a matter of fact, didn't even have to take your second round of practice out there. How's the season look for you this year? Go compete wholeheartedly, I hear.
I'm really looking forward to my second season. I feel like I worked out a lot of the kinks last season, got my feet wet, had a lot of tough experiences, but I'm ready for a real good season this year.
Yeah, you're going to be competing against another woman. Michelle's back and running full force. She left the 93 season leading in the points. How do you feel about competing against another woman in the series?
Well, I think it's great. I think it'd be great if we had even more women out here. And I hear Michelle's a real good driver. I know she was the champion in the women's division, and she's won with the men. So, you know, I look up to her. I wish we had more women.
After last year, it was a rough season, but I hope we got it together.
Now, you fell out at the 93 season while leading in the points. Is that correct? And now you come back this year. Do you plan on taking command right out the box?
I hope so. That sounds real good.
Now, you have some other females competing in the division, Sonny Hobbs. How do you feel about competing against other female drivers?
I think it's great. I think the more women, the better.
Seems to be the same answer we get from both of y'all. Maybe we'll get a whole women's class out here. Of course, several years back, it was an all-women's field for Chargers, and then they changed it up. But it seems like neither one of you have any problem competing with the men.
No, we try our best.
Try your best. Well, you do your best. Matter of fact, you made many of them look pretty bad last time.
It feels pretty good, too.
We'll keep an eye on her tonight. Michelle Eversole back and running hard in the Charger Series. Let's go to Jerry. He's talking with one of the Grand Stock rookies for the 1995 season.
All right, Bart Smith, number 32, your Grand Stock rookie, and I understand you told me that you had only driven a Charger car 4 times in the past, and now you're coming up to try the Grand Stock.
That's right. I'm going to try something with a little more power and see what I can do. It's quite a bit more power tonight.
Well, you also, you were talking to me about the possibility of someone else driving the car the first time out. What's the story on that?
Yeah, it's the first time tonight, and we're going to try something, let somebody else drive the car until I get some practice.
Who is that driver you're going to put in the car for this? Is someone experienced, I presume?
Yes, it is, Randy Emery. He's going to drive the car tonight, and we're going to see what he can do with it. It's a little more power than anything I've ever driven.
What are your plans for the season? I mean, what are you going to do on the season?
We're going to try to shoot for Rookie of the Year, maintain, and just try not to tear the car up.
All right.
Try to learn.
You know, in one of our last episodes, we talked about the people that were coming and that were leaving at the track. One of them that was leaving was John Eversole, never to come back and race as he was giving up his ride to help out his dear wife, Michelle. We found out from Crystal Taylor that 2 months ago all that changes. What happened to that? Well, before we get your thoughts, let's go to that interview back in September.
I understand that you're going to help Michelle in her car. Did you get tired of driving? Just want to keep it a family thing? I'm not tired of driving. I'll never get tired of driving. I just feel like running Grand Stock's gotten to be pretty rough. It's rougher than the Charger division is here lately, and Kenny wants to go a little bit different next year. He's got a young guy that wants to drive his other car. He's got a second car, and he's going to try to sell this car and get some money. Last 4 or 5 years, Kenny's kind of sunk all his money into racing, and he feels like he needs to go in a different direction, I guess. And my wife needs to go back racing again. I need to get her back out there. I kind of slighted her the last couple of years, trying to run Kenny's car and not getting to run her car, so she deserves a chance. She won a race in Chargers. So I'm going to bring her back and build her a new car. Monty's going to build her a motor, and we're going to let her try to run for the championship next year.
John, can you explain the interview you gave us in September and then what's happened 2 months ago?
Well, the way it started in September, we did that. We gave up the ride that I had before. We got Michelle a new car, went all out, got her new truck, new trailer. She's running for the championship. And up until about 3 weeks ago, I wasn't racing anything.
Okay.
And we just kind of got the fever back, got to seeing racing, and Daytona came around, and just like anything else, it kind of gets to you. And this opportunity came up with Crystal, where she wanted to get a car, and she wanted me to drive it, so I just kind of had to say yes.
I have never planned to own a car. My husband was building a car, and we came across a really good deal on a car complete with motor, and John was looking for a ride. He's a very good driver. He can win, and he will win for me. I have no doubt about it. And it just seemed like it would be a fun thing to do, to have two cars. We have a kind of a family competition going here.
How did you get involved in the race? Is this your first time out as a car owner?
This is my first time out as a car owner. My husband has worked on cars ever since we've dated, and I've known Johnny and Michelle for, 15 years or so, and he's good. I mean, so when this deal came about, and it was an opportunity to own one and have a driver like that, I mean, you got to give it a try.
Running for the points or different game plan this year?
No, we just want to win. We don't really care about the points. Naturally, I want to try to do what we can with it. I feel like we just fell a little short last year, and we really should have won it, but we had some bad breaks and so forth. But we really want to try this year. We got a bunch of good sponsors with the car. With Giuseppe's Pizza came on board this year. He's helping us out. Electric Power Incorporated, Cigar Bill, Custom Metal Fabricators. And
It's only a 30-minute show.
I can't say anything about my car owners. Crystal Taylor and her husband, Matt Taylor, he helps us a whole lot. All the guys on the crew that we picked up, Donnie Gerard, Joe Hall, Will Collins, and, of course, Matt. Matt's got two cars. He's got another. That's the interesting part about it is the fact that he's got two cars with his husband and wife.
Well, first time on the show here, so you're going to be the first one to say, with several drivers moving up, Thacker moving up, but you still have Morris here. What do you foresee? We're going to find out later on in the show when we interview the guy.
Oh, okay.
What do you think about the Grand Stock division this year? Less competitive, more competitive, the same?
It's about the same. You got a couple guys that have left, but you still got a lot of cars that are here that are real fast. I mean, you got a lot of guys running real good. And, of course, like I said, you do have Billy, and you got Glenn Jarman, you got Worth Red, David Zimmer. All the same drivers are still here, so it hadn't changed a whole lot. If anything, it's probably more competitive this year if Billy stays in the same county with us.
Well, when we come back from the commercials, we'll start going to the highlights. We'll be right back.
Feeling bored? Are the concessions open yet?
3 more weeks.
Have a real need for speed? Go! Does the aroma of race cars just turn you on? Each and every week, Sundays at 5:30 on Channel 65, Warner Brothers Television, it's Southside Speedway Illustrated. Highlights, coverage, and more. That's Southside Speedway Illustrated.
Family owned and operated, Buddy South Auto Parts has been serving Richmond for over 17 years. Whether your car is foreign or domestic, we have the technology and experience to get you back on the road. Specializing in air conditioning and hydraulics, as well as air conditioning hose repair. All of our mechanics are ASE certified, authorized for complete repair and replacement of any manufacturing recalls linked through our all-data computer network. It's all our quality service that keeps our customers satisfied. Get it done right the first time. Buddy South Auto Parts.
Welcome back, everyone. Tonight's events were fast and furious at Southside Speedway, as always. Chris Phelps showed he was still in top form as he took the pole for the AccuTran mini stocks. Phelps would get loose as he hit turn 1 and opened the door for outside pole setter Tyler McRae to take the lead. On lap 6, it was McRae's turn to get loose in turn 1, and that's all Phelps would need as he made a move to the inside. The two drivers would run door to door at the stripe. Phelps secured the top spot on the next lap as he led the field to the first caution. Phelps took the field back to the green and would quickly feel the heat from McRae as the number 12 Ford worked better through the turns. Caution would slow the field once again, leaving the 3-lap shootout and a run to the checkered. Again, it was Phelps with the straightaway speed and McRae strong in the turns. The second-place driver would make a last-ditch run for the top spot, knocking on Phelps' back door through turns 1 and 2 and again in 3 and 4. The Sutherland driver just couldn't take the top spot and nearly lost control coming off turn 4 on the final lap. Phelps, the only top 3-point finisher from 94 to compete, claims the win. McRae takes second, and Randy Dean comes home third. Tyler McRae, a fine run, a second-place run, but you kept the pressure on.
Yeah, we tried our best. We gave Chris all we got. Maybe we had another 2 laps, could have got underneath him. I was putting the bumper in him, but, just wouldn't give up.
Your car seemed to handle through the turns, just couldn't keep up with him on the straightaways.
Well, it seemed real great, just a little tight getting in, so made some loose getting off, so we couldn't get off as good, which he pulled a little bit in the straightaway. So we did our best. And McRae Electric Ford, Tri-State Electric, I appreciate all their help and all the help the crew gives us. We'll be out here next week looking to get first.
We'll keep an eye on him and watch him throughout the season. Your second-place finisher tonight. Let's go to Jerry in Victory Lane with their winner.
Chris Phelps, you told me before the race that Tyler McRae was going to give you all you could handle, and it turned out to be true in this race.
It sure did. I told you. We ran good in practice. We ran some 16.0s and 16.1s in the car, really ran well, but Tyler ran consistent all day long. He could run 2s and 3s all day, and my car will run that, but with being cold and everything, I just had to get some heat in the car, and once I got some heat in it, then we'd go ahead and run. And they had the caution come out with 3 to go, and I just said, man, I don't know if I can hold him off. And I mean, he ran me hard and really made it a good race. So, everybody, we come up to you, and say, oh, you're going to have it easy this year and everything. And I tell them it's a mini stock division. It's never easy. It looks easy, but it's not. You're always going to have 4 or 5 drivers that can win a race at any time.
Brad Skelding would claim the first pole for the 95 Charger Series as defending champion LaValle Balduck took the outside front row. Skelding would secure the top spot as the field swept off turn 1. Balduck would stay close on the rear deck of the leader, but both would have to back it down as caution fell on lap 2. Ricky Vaughn, Robert Connor, and Bob Fawcett would be involved in a backstretch confrontation. Back to green, it was Skelding and Balduck breaking away from the field and quickly starting to lap the slower cars. Michelle Eversole and Sonny Hobbs, their 2 lady drivers, had their hands full trying to evade all the beating and banging going on around the speedway. Mike Hall and Tommy Tatum were spending more time fighting each other than they were fighting for position, and the 2 drivers would be involved in several altercations on the speedway. Caution number 2 would fall on lap 23 for oil on the speedway and set the field up for a 2-lap shootout. Skelding opened up his advantage with a 1-car length over Balduck and held on for the win. Balduck took second as Michael Greathouse claimed third, holding off Cliff McDaniel. Ricky Sanderson rounded off the top 5, and Michelle Eversole came home 6th.
This is unbelievable. We left off last season with a pole and missed the win by just that much, and we're just picking up this season just right where we left off. These guys did so much hard work to get through this winter and be here today. You don't know how good I feel.
John, not going to make it easy on Balduck this year.
I hope not. This guy is a great driver. Obviously, he's our defending champion, and I give him every respect in the world. He is good. He ran me clean. I have no complaints. I love this division, and I love sitting here right now.
All right, we're here with Mike Hall after the Charger race, the opening race on the card at Southside Speedway Friday night. And that was a rather rough opening for a second-year driver in this opening race of the year.
Oh, yes, it was. It's just a mishap that happens a lot of times. A lot of times they're uncalled for. I'm just, the best thing to do is just say it happened and we'll just come back next week. The best thing to do is go on.
You and Tommy got tangled up a couple times there. I know that he ran across the front of your car one time sort of as a message or something like that. Do you think he was talking to you on that?
Well, what it all boils down to was I was clearly under him. I gave him room to run, and he come down on me. And when he got sideways, I backed off of it. And then I guess in return, he tried to spin me out 3 or 4 times. And I guess it's just something. He had a hot temper, and I know at the time I had a hot temper, but it was uncalled for. And I guess because he is not running up front this year with that car, that it, you know, I don't know what the problem is, but you know, I think it should stop.
Well, you were last year's Rookie of the Year, and you're looking for better out of this year than the way this started, correct?
Oh yes, I mean we're building a brand new car. We're trying to look good for the crowd, and like I said, I've been keeping my cool, so I'm just gonna walk away from it and plan for next week and try to do better.
Shane Lockhart comes off a '94 championship season and a dominant run at Martinsville Speedway to claim the pole for the J.M. Wilkerson Memorial 100 with a speed of 85.176 miles per hour. Outside pole setter Brandon Butler would get the jump on the green and lead lap 1, but his top spot would soon go away as he would end up in the turn 1 wall. Wayne Grubb, Bubba Farmer, and Buck Godsey would all spin trying to avoid Butler. Again under green, Lockhart would open up to a 2-car length gap over the battle for second. Caution was displayed for the second time on lap 11 as Buck Godsey and Bubba Farmer got together on the backstretch. Back to green and Lockhart leading the way, but not for long. Godsey would block the lane, and the K95 Pontiac went from first to sixth. Rusty Wood found himself leading the field until 1 lap later when Wayne Patterson took the position away. Patterson would open up his advantage over Franklin Butler and Bugs Harefield as they worked past Rusty Wood. Lockhart would pick up a black flag after a second altercation with Brandon Butler in turn 2, and back up front, Harefield would nudge his way by Franklin Butler for the second spot and set out after Patterson, who was leading the way by a 10-car length advantage. And with 10 laps to go, held a 6-car length lead over Harefield as the two approached heavy traffic. Caution came out for the final time on lap 98 as Wayne Grubb and Chris Dotson tangled on the front stretch. Patterson again enjoyed the lap car of Rodney Estes as a buffer and cruised to the first late model victory of 1995. Harefield second, Franklin Butler third, while Ryan Farmer nudged his way past Rusty Wood, bringing Lockhart with him to round out the top 5. Bugs Harefield coming home second tonight. It was a strong run, but just a little too late.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I was any quicker than him. I mean, sometimes it looked like I was quicker than Patterson, but it was a little slick for me. He was hooked up a little bit better off the corner than I was. We were just a little bit loose. Sometimes I get a good lap in, and sometimes I didn't. And the outcome was pretty good. I mean, second, I'll take second. I mean, if I can't win, that's the best place to be, I guess.
It felt good. The car we've been practicing all winter. We wanted something like this. I knew we could do it. It's just the team. Everything it feels like it's come together this year. Practice has been great, but we qualified good, and the race was going great. Me and Rusty got into it in the corner. I didn't mean to get into him. My tires were gone, and I went in a little over my head. I don't think being up that far gets you sometimes a little crazy. Maybe if I do it more often, I calm down a little. But I hated to beat Rusty that way. But it just, I mean, I'm still happy. I'm just happy. You know, this feels like a win to me, being here so many years, and this is as close as as I've gotten yet.
Well, you know, it's not a good finish, and it's not a first or a second, but it's a 5th place finish. And considering all of what happened, come back and finish 5th like that, that's not too bad. First time out for this Townsend car, this K95 team, they'll be back. We'll be tough.
And it's a new chassis for you, and maybe some bugs in it. You had a little push working there coming out of turn 4 when you were trying to get around Ryan Farmer, who evidently has come into his own too.
That's right. You know, I tried to run Ryan awful clean. I never touched him. Well, we touched a little bit, but I let him get it back straight. And I just couldn't get him bite off the bottom of the corner to get by him. You know, he was running up in the high groove just good enough to where I couldn't get by him. And what can I say? You know, the car. This first race on the car, and the car was a little loose off the corner. So we'll work on it this week, and hopefully it'll be better next week.
Well, Wayne Patterson, again, you are the man tonight. No sponsors on the car, solid black, and you find yourself in the black and white.
Well, I tell you, you know, the car ran real good all night. We just happened to get the right brakes at the right time. Slow traffic hurt everybody else. It helped us. It even helped us at the end when we made that lap on the 84 and they put him back. So, you know, I'm just like anybody else. I kept hollering, put the 84 back. I needed all the cushion I could get. Even if I didn't need it, I wanted it. You know, 2 laps to go, somebody right on your butt, anything can happen.
Well, I tell you, sponsorship's been tough this season. We found that in a lot of categories, but this certainly can't hurt your plea.
Well, I sure hope not. You know, we've talked to a lot of people, but just, you know, things have been tight this year, and hopefully that, you know, this will show the people that we run up front. We spend the money what it takes to get up front, and we've got a good vehicle there for some good advertising.
Your winner for tonight's J.M. Wilkerson Memorial 100, Wayne Patterson. Billy Morris put his new Bear sponsorship on the pole, picking up where he left off for the 94 Grand Stock Series in the final night's run. Outside pole setter Bobby Curtis would bring out the first caution as the field came through turn 2. The field would line up double file once again for a complete restart with Bill McGonigal now in the number 2 spot. Morris held the top spot under green as John Eversole moved up to second and David Zimmer took the 3rd position. Lap 3 brought the night's biggest caution when Bill McGonigal, Bubba Hubbard, Robbie Langford, Worth Red, Glenn Jarman, and Trip Murphy all collected coming off turn 2. Back to green, and Morris starts to open up his advantage over Eversole while several other drivers do some cultivating through the turn 1 grass. Morris continued to open up his advantage over Eversole and cruised to the win, while David Zimmer took 3rd and Wayne Clark rounded out 4th.
We're real happy with this car. This car is something else. The rear end went out in practice, and it roared the whole race, and I had to kind of take it easy. I tried to stay with him at the beginning. Couldn't get any closer than about 8 or 10 car lengths, so I just kind of lagged back a little bit. I didn't want to tear the rear out and lose second. But I think if we get it straight, a little bit of work, this car will go to the front. I think we're in good shape.
People like Johnny, he finished second. He run right there with me. That was the first time he's ever sat in the car this afternoon. I have to give him a bunch of credit. You know, he'll get better. A lot of the guys get better. We just get an early jump, and hopefully we can get what we can.
Now, you had problems with the car missing after qualifying, but you seem to fix that.
Yeah, I changed everything. I couldn't get the thing to get the miss out of it. Worth loaned me the carburetor, actual carburetor off his car, which means a lot to me. For him to do that, that's great. And it cured it. Of course, we switched carburetors because he had a transmission problem. He didn't get to make qualifying, so you know, he sacrificed it anyway to me, and I certainly do appreciate that. It helped a lot.
Well, Billy Morris and the Bear on the prowl already in 1995. Just about time to wrap up the final practice of the day. Let's go to the drivers and crews and see what they think about the cars. Rusty, been working on the car. How's it handling?
Running pretty smooth, just like them cool ones down at Checkered Flag.
Wayne, can I talk to you about the car tonight?
Man, I gotta go. I gotta hurry up and get away from here. I gotta head to the Checkered Flag. Give me a steak. Gotta go.
That's right. Everybody's racing to the Checkered Flag Sports Bar and Grill, 4003 Jeff Davis Highway. It's the place for food, fun, and all the race fans. Feeling bored? Are the concessions open yet?
3 more weeks.
Have a real need for speed?
Go!
Does the aroma of race cars just turn you on? Each and every week, Sundays at 5:30 on Channel 65, Warner Brothers Television, it's Southside Speedway Illustrated. Highlights, coverage, and more. That's Southside Speedway Illustrated. Well, the first event of the 1995 season here at Southside Speedway is over. Some new faces showed up tonight and showed some strength. Many old faces came to the top once again. No surprise there. Next week, we're going to focus on some of the mini-stock drivers, so be on hand with us then. I'd like to thank Jerry Reed for joining me. On behalf of Jerry Reed, Yvonne Alzero, and myself, we'll see you next week on Southside Speedway Illustrated.
Illustrated.